Hi friends, this is Jill from Young at Heart Designs, and today I'm going to be making a Christmas decor piece using the new IOD Winter Forage mold that I got from createitcrafts.shop. And this is a beautiful layered design. So I start off by using the bows mold to create my winter Christmas bow here. And I'm using Sculpey air dry clay. It's my favorite to work with for different reasons. But I went ahead and just created the larger of the two ribbons or bows on this mold. And I am going to put it in the freezer for about 20 minutes, and then it just releases so easily after that. And then I start to work on creating all the different pine leaves and the pine cones and the holly leaves that it is on the Winter Forage mold. Now, this mold I had to use over and over again. I did have to make quite a few pieces, and every time between, because some of those things are a little bit more delicate, like those little pine leaves there, sometimes they don't release so easily, so I do put them in the freezer for about 10 to 20 minutes, and then they release so easily. They're still pliable and you can work with them, but it just helps the release go a little bit easier. Some people use cornstarch in their molds for a faster, easier release as well. And I've used that too, and that's great, but I find that putting these pieces in the freezer is the best way. Now, I work full-time, so it took me several days to get these things made and like I wanted, and so mine were dry, and if I were doing it again and I had more time, I probably would be layering them on while they're still moldable. But what I did is I painted this board in Autumn Sage from Paint Couture. It is a mineral paint, and which means it has a top coat in it. And then I used some acrylic paste that Lisa Lorintcz had used. That's where I got my inspiration from, on the IOD website, the YouTube page, and she's one of the artisans that used this, and so I was trying to recreate her thing, and of course we're all individuals and all unique, and so I don't think mine was near like hers, but I still love it, and that's okay. And but she used this acrylic paste to create a texture behind the pine cones. I accidentally deleted, but when I went to paint on mine after this had dried, I was using the color Farmhouse Linen, I believe, and I wasn't getting the texture that I wanted, and unfortunately I think I accidentally deleted or didn't record when I was adding the salt wash to my paint. There's a product called Salt Wash, and it creates kind of a grainy thickening of your paint, almost a sand-like feature, and it just creates lots of texture for your paint. And so I did pretty much after this add that and let that dry really well, and I was really more pleased with it than the paste itself. Now these pieces have pretty much dried, and I'm just choosing a medium brown acrylic paint to paint them. I'm sorry, I don't have, it was a Deco Art, I believe, or Americana paint, but one was a little bit lighter, and I went with a darker because later on I'm going to be giving it the snowed on look and with white, so I really wanted it to be a little bit darker. I did have to water down that paint. It was pretty thick, and I wanted it to flow into those crooks and crevices of the pine cone to get really down in deep in there. And so that's what you're seeing here. This is probably what took the longest, was all the painting. Then I used a color for the pines called Evergreen by Paint Couture, and I believe that's what I used, or I might have used some other paints as well. I know that on some pieces I did use the Evergreen. Maybe that was on the holly. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm using it here. And that's the Evergreen by Paint Couture. I just see those other paint bottles out. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've done this, so I'm trying to remember. Oh. So again, this is probably what took the longest, is because I really wanted to make sure it's well covered, and but it's relaxing too to do all this painting. Of course, I've sped it up, so it took a lot longer than it's showing here. Now, some of those pieces might have fallen apart, but I didn't worry about that because I knew I was going to be gluing them down to the board, and so you can always piece it back together. That's the beauty of the air dry clay. You can kind of cover up those little accidents. Now, as you can see, this was the really fun part, is creating the winter frost on snow on all the pieces. So what I did is I got some white chalk paint, and I'm using a dry brush technique. I don't want a whole lot of paint on my brush, and so I'm kind of dabbing it there on that paper towel and getting the wet off, and so that the paint's still on there, but it's just not quite as liquid. And just going over the tops of these different pieces, and it was really fun. I just enjoyed that part of it because it just kind of changed the whole scenery, and it's making me wish for winter. I live in Southeast Texas, where it's always hot, seems like, so I'm ready for some cooler weather. And this was a good way to kind of think about that. This bow is so pretty. Now the color, I believe I used red velvet on that originally on the bow from, it's a mineral paint as well from Paint Couture in the color red velvet. Now you can see I'm just taking the different pieces and just arranging, trying to figure out how I'm going to make it all come together. That was fun too. It's like a puzzle, trying to figure it all out. I think I had to go back and make some more pieces when I realized I needed some more greenery. And this is really fun. Kind of takes a minute to get it together. I would love for you to let me know how you like this, and if you think you would put something like this together in the comments. I would love that, and I would appreciate it if you like it to give me a like and a subscribe. And there you go. It finally came all together, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Just know that God loves you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.